Welcome to the Unmistakably Magic Podcast. I'm RJ.
And I'm Court.
We are two lifelong fans of Disney parks and all theme parks.
Each week we bring you the latest news from Disney parks and beyond.
Plus this week we'll be talking about what to plan before you're going to Disney World.
Yes, we will be.
We're going to call this Things to Know Before You Go.
We have a top 5 list of things you need to know before you go to Disney World.
That's right. And this is episode number 2.
Yes, it is. Let's kick it off with some news. This week in news, Universal Orlando and Universal Hollywood have announced that Halloween is coming to 2016's Halloween Horror Nights. This maze is bigger, boasts more scare actors than last year's top-rated Halloween maze, and will begin where the movie ended. I think this is pretty cool.
At first when I read that, I was like, yeah, okay, Halloween's coming to Halloween.
Halloween's going to come to Halloween.
What? And then I was like, oh yeah, the movie Halloween. No, I do love how they're bringing out these old horror movie properties.
Yeah.
To really bolster the Halloween Horror Nights and Halloween in general, and it's really interesting to watch, and it's really cool that they're doing that.
Oh yeah, have you ever been to a Halloween Horror Nights?
I have not yet. No, I keep meaning to do that, and then possibly even the not so scary at Disney World.
Disney World over there.
Or Mickey's Halloween party at Disneyland.
I actually had the opportunity to go to a Halloween Horror Nights last year. Yeah, just at Universal Hollywood. It was cool. It was really cool.
Wow.
Like, I'm a big fan of just really cool looking things. I mean, just in one. I like
shiny.
Looking at things. Yeah.
Ooh, it's shiny.
What? They had a lot of really cool, because they had the AVP, Alien vs. Predator.
See, and that's again bringing out another property that's like really. I mean,
yeah, it's really cool.
That's
it's definitely worth it if you're going to go out there.
I've been thinking it'd be a fun one to do sometime on a fall trip.
Oh, it's great. I would highly recommend it, especially if you like getting scared a little bit.
A little bit,
which everybody does.
I mean, I might pee my pants, but.
Over in Islands of Adventure, the Incredible Hulk coaster has gotten a new statue near its entrance. It looks killer.
I like it. It looks like it's like tearing the track apart and everything.
That's actually old track from
the original
before
old ride,
before they took out all of the track and redid it and everything. It looks gnarly.
It looks really good.
It looks beautiful. Speaking of Hulk, there's a new rumor floating around that Universal is testing a virtual reality option for the coaster. Universal has opened up a theater over in Toon Lagoon in Islands of Adventure, where guests can enter and take a short virtual ride on Hulk, which includes a new launch tube and 3D renderings of the coaster operating.
Okay.
This could be interesting.
So are we talking possibly like they did with Six Flags, how Six Flags has been testing it, where you're riding a coaster and wearing VR?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But from, I think it was the Tim Tracker on YouTube. He went over there and they wrote it, or they quote unquote wrote it.
Okay, virtually.
Virtually, yeah. And it was, they said that they went through the launch tube and then it faded to white, like it was just white out on their screen on their thing, and then they were standing watching the coaster go. So
interesting.
I don't know if this means that like Universal is just being like, oh, this is what it's going to be like when we're coming back, or
or just, I mean, because a lot of times I don't know. I'm not a computer guy, but I imagine that if you have 3D renderings for engineering purposes, it can't be that hard to port them into something like a virtual reality experience. So why not get people to kind of look around or play with the roller coaster ahead of time? But it's good to see virtual reality making its way into the parks.
Yeah,
in general.
Mean, it's just another screen at Universal, in my opinion.
Well, that's true.
Sticking over in Orlando, but moving over to Magic Kingdom, the Carousel of Progress has gotten a new paint job, which this is always nice seeing that, Disney still cares about that attraction.
It's true. It has this, last time I rode it, which was a couple years ago, it was needing some help. So it's good to see that. I mean, either you want to see them replace it or update it. Or update it or keep it up, you know.
Which there is a new rumor floating around that there might be talks about switching up, changing, reimagining, whatever you want to call it. The final scene. Room. Yeah, the final scene in there.
Get Granny's
VR a
little more up to date.
A little up to date.
Yeah. And the talking oven. I still don't have a talking oven, so I don't know what that's all about.
Come on, Disney.
All the other stuff did kind of come true, but the talking oven is probably not one.
Pretty much all of it. Sticking at the Magic Kingdom, the new Pin Quest pins were released this week. Pin Quest, for those of you who don't know, which I didn't know before I read this and found this, it's a new experience at the Magic Kingdom where guests can purchase a pin starter pack and then use clue cards to given to them in the pack to navigate around the park in order to meet up with, they're calling them navigateers.
Ears being the
emphasis on the ears,
of course,
to receive an additional pin or two.
Interesting.
I think this is pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it forces people who like picking pins.
Yeah,
pin
trading.
Yeah, pin trading and everything. It forces them. Well, it doesn't really force them, but it encourages them.
Well, it creates an adventure out of that. Instead of just walking up to a cast member and going, "Hey, you have your lanyard out. Let's trade pins." It creates a whole nother.
It creates something else with it, and it encourages you to walk around and explore the park a little bit more.
Yeah,
that's. I think in my opinion, I know I don't do it enough. I'm always going for the attractions, and I'd love to just one of these days. I think I'm going to go and just not ride anything and just explore the park.
I've always thought that too would actually be really fun, and this seems similar to me, kind of like what was the card game they were doing for a little bit there?
What was the name of it?
It was Wizards or something.
Yeah, it was something about the Magic Kingdom though. Wasn't it? It was like Protectors of the Magic Kingdom or Keepers.
People are probably shouting at their iPods right now, like, "You idiots!
You don't know Disney?
Come on, man!
You call yourselves fans?"
But we picked up some cards from that, and it was the same thing. You go into these back, not hallways, but these back areas
just
between
corridors,
and you're like, "Oh, this exists?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool." And there's theming, and there's all these, and it creates a whole nother experience. So I'm all for anything that creates
something new,
additional experiences or anything, especially for pin trading.
Oh yeah, pin trading to me, I'm not a big pin trader. I do have a few pins in my collection.
I collect some. Yeah,
but to me, it's just kind of like this is just a way to talk to your cast members.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So
and see new parts of the park and everything, and seek it out instead of
I think this is fantastic in my opinion. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sticking over at Magic Kingdom, but switching news, it's more of a rumor. The Muppets might be getting a bit of an expansion at Disney World, but not really in the way that you would initially think. Slashfilm.com is reporting that the Muppets are getting a new show in Liberty Square that would see the characters teaching guests about American history. They report that this wouldn't be replacing the rumored Muppet Plaza over at Hollywood Studios, but that would be in addition to it.
Wow.
Now, personally, I am stoked about this. It'll be a great use of the Muppet characters, in my opinion, because, that's what they were originally kind of geared towards, was education in a fun way.
Yeah.
Or
that was Henson's kind of life goal.
Yeah, he really liked it a lot. And it'll be a fantastic throwback to the educational attractions that used to play a much bigger role in Disney parks that I think need to make a bit of a comeback.
Absolutely. I'm all for it. I think it's exciting. I think Liberty Square has some really good attractions, but I think another show or attraction or whatever they want to call it or act like it is, I'm all for it, and I'm all for Sam the Eagle. I vote Sam the Eagle.
A tribute to all nations, but mostly America. I think we can all agree a little Sam the Eagle in Liberty Square
is totally fitting and
100% necessary in my opinion. Sticking with Disney, but moving out of the parks a bit to Disney Springs. Disney Springs has begun its official grand opening celebration. This summer-long event will boast free live entertainment throughout the property, a Beat the Heat DJ party every afternoon at the Marketplace Fountain, and special retail offers and promotions at various locations throughout Disney Springs, including 10 to 60% off brands like Columbia Sportswear, Lucky Brand, Irwin Pearl, Alex and Annie, Melissa Shoes, and many, many more.
Wow.
I'm kind of surprised by this 10 to 60%.
Well, it means a few things are 60%.
That's true. But if
you're looking for something or you really loved one of these brands, absolutely. If you're looking for some new Columbia Sportswear, I'd hit it up the store and just see
It'd be kind of weird buying Columbia in the middle of
Florida. I wonder
if
this is them trying to attract more locals to it as a shopping
center
destination.
Yeah.
As it is to also keep the people staying on property coming as well.
Yeah. I think it is. I don't know. I think I was gonna say, typically at a theme park, 10% off is about as much as you can get.
Yeah, that's true.
Some annual pass discounts give you like 20% or 15%, something like that. Which cast member discounts give you a bit more, but that's for a future episode.
But that's still pretty good, yeah.
I'm curious if this is a Disney sponsored one where they're the ones taking the hit on the merch, or if that's just companies trying to encourage people to come into their shops at that location.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out.
Which, I don't know, it's still exciting.
Yeah.
Sticking with Disney Springs, the Coca-Cola store and beverage bar opened up this week. This is basically a mega Coca-Cola store with a Coca-Cola bar added on. Guests can purchase a freestyle cup for $3 to $3.75 depending on size. And it includes 5 free refills within the first hour of purchase, or guests can have the option to purchase a sampler tray, which is basically a beer flight of Coke products.
Okay.
It'll include 16 different beverages. The store will also include meet and greets with the Coca-Cola polar bear, and will serve alcoholic beverages in the evenings.
Which fits the whole Disney Springs kind of entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to try the 16 different beverages. I wonder if they're different than Cool Zone.
Than Club Cool?
Club Cool. Do I have to drink the Beverly?
The Beverly. Oh, I hope not.
Oh, it's all Beverly. It's 16 cups of Beverly. Oh, there's Beverly Cherry.
Oh.
Diet Beverly. Oh, no, I'm good, thanks.
Oh, man. I wonder if Beverly Cherry tastes like cough syrup. Cherry cough syrup.
Oh, I can imagine it does.
Over in Animal Kingdom, Tiffin's Restaurant is now offering a Taste of Tiffin's lunch menu. The new offering allows guests to pair 2 options from the menu, which include smaller portions of favorites such as marinated grilled octopus and the 72-hour beef short rib, alongside a jade rice blend for $28, which really isn't that bad.
No, if you actually look at the menu of Tiffin's, that's really good. And it's a nice way to be able to try multiple items, because Tiffin's is a little on the pricier side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it'd be nice to be able to try 2 of them and still pay. You're still going to pay $28, but you're going to get 2 smaller portions of something.
Which I think the 2 smaller portions together would make up a solid
a full meal.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're probably half portions, so you're getting 2 half portions of 2 entrees.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, it's a great way to try whatever on the menu, and maybe find your new favorite.
Or try something you would never try, octopus or something. Like, then you try it and you're like, oh, okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. So, the menu will be available from 3 a.m. until 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. daily.
Okay, so the lunch hour.
I wish it was open at 3 a.m. Gosh, 24 hours in Animal Kingdom. Come on, Disney, get on that.
Those poor animals.
Over in California Adventure, switching coasts a bit, new merchandise is now available in Cars Land. The new line includes some Dinoco apparel, as well as new nighttime-inspired designs.
So neon?
Yeah, pretty much. Which they do glow in the dark.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. You can get like Ramone's main sign, the Cars Land logo.
Okay.
All in neon stuff.
The Dinoco stuff's kind of fun too, because it fits in the world.
Yeah. I think the Dinoco stuff's a little cooler than the nighttime stuff. But that's just me.
I can see the glow in the dark though being a hit.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, to me that stuff seems kind of tacky. I think the only clothing line that ever did that really well was when California Adventure had Electronica. And, and they had the glow in the dark stuff with Tron.
Yeah, that was good.
I thought that was really cool.
Makes you wish we had bought some more.
Kind of regretting I didn't buy more of it.
I have my one little token from Flynn's Arcade.
I have a few of those.
Yeah.
Going overseas now to Tokyo Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland has announced a new Frozen Castle projection show. The 15-minute show promises to transform Cinderella Castle with the latest projection mapping technology to give it a 3D feel with a sense of movement. It will have highlights from the movie, including hit songs like For the First Time in Forever and Let It Go.
Okay, the question is, can we just let it go? Because how many years has it been now? And we're still adding Frozen to the parks?
I mean,
I guess you got to go with your hits, but
yeah, and I don't think anybody at Disney saw Frozen being as big as it is.
And in fact, I've heard several interviews with the songwriters and the writers of the movie, and they're all saying we didn't think it was going to be this big.
We didn't think we were going to get nearly as big as we are.
So I think they're still playing catch up. And
oh yeah.
But this 3D mapping stuff is really, really cool. They seem to be doing a lot more of that because they've added it to the Star Wars show in Hollywood Studios, and they've done a lot more in the Magic Kingdom, and I'm really impressed with everything they're doing with it. So
it looks incredible.
I'm sure this will be really cool. And
and if they're using the latest in projection mapping technology, I think Magic Kingdoms is 2 or 3 years old.
So I can imagine they've learned some lessons.
Yeah. Even with Star Wars, I mean, that new show is a little. It's not the most up to date in the projection mapping from what I've heard.
Yeah. But it's still really.
It's still really impressive. It's really cool. I think Disney's kind of pushing more the technology on the overseas Asian market. Because, I mean, you look at Shanghai Disneyland and all the really cool stuff that they opened up there. But, I don't know, maybe we'll see some of this new technology that they're developing over there. And I think they're kind of testing it over there, see how it works over there. And
could be, yeah. Yeah.
But I think I would love to see some of this new technology come over to the States.
It's true. They do seem to be doing a lot of the new technology in the overseas parks.
Yeah, a bit. But whatever.
I'm sure we'll see some. We may see some of this. We may see some of this with Star Wars Land or Toy Story Land or some of these new expansions that they're talking about. So we may see some of these things moving over.
Hop on over, maybe in a different form, but still.
Yeah, still
something pretty cool.
Yeah.
D23 announced this week that tickets for D23 2017 go on sale July 14th.
Wow.
Which of this year, so
that's
coming up here
pretty advanced. Yeah,
that's very, very far in advance.
Wow. But it's a popular event. I'm sure there's going to be some big announcements in that.
Oh yeah,
in 2017.
Oh yeah. Moving outside of the U.S. for a little bit, and really outside of the realm of Disney and Universal, Movie Park Germany has announced a Star Trek-themed launched roller coaster. It will be the second tallest ride in the park, which means it will be shorter than the park's drop tower, Highfall, which stands 200 feet tall. The coaster is being built by German-based Mack Rides and will boast an element that is, quote, unparalleled in Europe and will definitely surprise guests, according to the park's general manager, Thorsten Backhaus.
Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. I wonder what this unparalleled
I'm
element
curious.
Is.
I mean, coasters over in Europe aren't really what we have here in the States.
Really?
They're a little. I mean, go on to Theme Park Reviews YouTube page. They have tons of everything, and I mean, they are definitely stepping up their game over there, especially over in Germany. I think last year they opened up a double launch roller coaster. I forget where in Germany it was, I think that was in Sweden. But they're definitely stepping up their game over there, and they're building some coasters that I would say rival some of the newer stuff coming. Well, some of the relatively newer stuff coming out of the U.S.
And this one sounds like it's going to be a pretty good size, because if it's just short of the 200 foot or even close to that.
Well, we don't know that it's just short of 200 feet. I mean, it
might be 100 foot.
It could be a 100 foot one, but
be interested to see what the third highest in their park is, and just kind of gauge between the two there.
Somewhere between 200 and 150.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I think it's pretty cool that it's Star Trek themed.
It is. I wonder who has the rights to start. Do we have a domestic? Do we have a U.S. theme park that has the right to that?
I don't think in the U.S. we have one that has the rights to that. I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers has the rights to it, and so they're kind of
maybe Six Flags, because they're kind of Six Flags-esque.
Maybe. I don't know. I know Movie Park Germany. Movie Park is kind of like Warner Brothers brand of parks.
They work with
yeah. So I think, I think we're getting the better end of it because we get Star Wars. And they get Star Trek.
Star Trek, but we might not want to start that debate on our podcast. We might lose some people.
Personally, I think just the fact that we're getting a bit more than
we're getting a 14-acre expansion, not just a single roller coaster.
Yeah, not just one ride. Yeah. Staying overseas, Dubai Parks and Resorts have announced that Six Flags Dubai has broken ground and is set to open in 2019. The park will boast 27 opening day attractions, including 3 world record-breaking attractions, 6 roller coasters, 4 aerial attractions, a 350-meter river rapids ride, and 3 performance areas. The park will also be themed around other Six Flags parks, including Magic Mountain, Fiesta Texas, Great Adventure, and Great America.
This is really interesting to me. This is a huge project, it sounds like.
Well, I mean, you look over at Dubai Parks and Resorts.
Dubai in general. But
oh, yeah, Dubai in general, yeah. Engineering masterpiece over there. But from what I've seen, Dubai Parks and Resorts it's kind of like a conglomerate of other parks within one mega resort. So they have like, I think they're getting like some type of movie themed park.
Okay.
And it's all connected by like a river or something. So like you take a boat down and you're like riding down in your boat and you're like, oh, on the right is Six Flags Dubai, on the left is Movie Park Dubai.
Okay.
You know, so I think it's pretty cool that Six Flags is reaching all the way over to Dubai, which, I mean, that just speaks wonders for the theme park community. That, I mean, there is a need and a want for high thrill rides all over the world.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're going to build some really good rides too.
Yeah, from some of the concept art, it looks like they're building a I don't know if it's actually a clone of Goliath. Not in Magic Mountain. I think it's in Georgia.
Okay.
Where Six Flags Georgia, is that it? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments or something. But it's a wooden roller coaster, redone. I think it was redone. No, it was built new by Rocky Mountain Construction, which those are the guys who over at Magic Mountain took down Colossus. Well, basically took off the track of Colossus and put on a new Twisted Colossus is what they call it. It's called Twisted Colossus. So it put on it's called a hybrid roller coaster. So it's a wooden steel hybrid coaster. So it's like it has the support structures of a wooden coaster, but you can do.
But it's capable of doing things that
a normal wooden coaster wouldn't be capable of.
Wow.
It's basically a steel coaster on
so you
wooden
think
tracks.
For the concept art, there'll probably be something similar like that in the Dubai.
Yeah, they're definitely building a hybrid coaster over there, and they have, I think, one Giga coaster over there too, which that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm just curious what the theme or what the area of Magic Mountain is going to look like.
Yeah, because Magic Mountain's not a very descript park by any means.
I mean, it has the most roller coasters in the world in one
and
location.
Maybe that's what they're going to do. Is it'll just a lot of the roller coasters will be
a ton of roller coasters
conglomerated in the Magic Mountain area.
Which, if that's the case, what is Fiesta Texas? Is it Texas themed?
I would bet you. I would imagine so.
A little bit of the Lone Star State.
That's right.
Don't
mess with Texas.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that just about wraps it up for the news this week.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna head to our main topic next.
Gonna talk about our top 5 picks for what you need to know before you go to Walt Disney World.
All right, we're back with our main topic. Top 5 things to know before you go.
Disney World Edition.
Disney World Edition, that's right.
So this means, I want to preface this with, we are going to be doing top 5 things you need to know before you go Disneyland, Universal, both coasts, Universal.
Anything else, any other park we can think of.
Maybe a little later on, if plans work out, Shanghai, Disneyland.
Some of the other parks,
Hong Kong, Disneyland, you know.
So to kind of preface this, we're assuming you're going to stay on Disney property.
You're only going to Disney World on this trip.
Yeah, this is not the trip where you're going to stay off property and you're going to go to Universal. You're going to do other attractions within Orlando.
Yeah.
This is assuming you're going to Disney and Disney specifically, and you're going to use their transportation. So we're not really talking about transportation because we think Disney does a really excellent job of communicating their transportation and how it works and setting you up for success with the transportation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you're booking a Disney World trip and you're flying into, MCO
the Orlando International or whatever. Yeah,
I only know 3 codes.
LAX.
3 airport codes. No, you need SNA. LAX is just terrible. That is the worst airport. Never fly into LAX. You need SNA, which is Orange County for Disneyland, because it's right there. It's like 20 minutes away.
It's way closer than LAX.
It's way closer.
Yeah.
And it's so much nicer. You have SNA, DIA, which is what we fly out of.
That's right. And then
MCO.
MCO. I guess those are the most 3 important in our world.
3 airports that you need to know.
So anyways, back to the topic. This is just assuming you're staying on property. This is assuming you are using their transportation, all that, because those are kind of separate topics that we can cover at some other time.
And we will. We will definitely cover that.
And we're going to dive into some of the things we're going to bring up today. We're going to dive into them as a whole episode because there is a lot more going on. But this is to kind of give you a primer of Disney World. And this is kind of maybe the episode you send your friends to when they're like, hey, I'm thinking about going to Disney World. What do I need to know? And it's, okay, well, here are the top 5 things that you need to know before you go. So number 5, water parks and etc. is what we put down. And this is kind of the extra attractions that Disney offers while you're there.
Yeah, little extra things beyond the theme parks at Disney World. Well, I mean, water parks are technically theme parks, but they're not the main
attraction. So there's 2 water parks at Disney World. There's Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon.
Yep.
Both are on property. Both have buses to and from the hotels.
Only buses. You can't get there via boat or monorail.
Yeah, they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere in reality.
Well, I mean, Blizzard Beach is kind of right by Animal Kingdom.
I guess, yeah.
Which is in the middle of nowhere down there.
Kind of in the middle of Disney's property.
Yeah.
But tickets are separate costs, so it's not associated with your park entrance unless you pay for the additional
water park and more
option when you book your trip. So that's another consideration. I don't know off the top of my head what the cost is, and it seems to kind of fluctuate with the seasons. I've noticed.
Yeah,
too,
I think in peak season it's an additional $70 or $75
I think it was down
per
about
ticket.
$50 during the kind of slower like the fall and spring seasons.
I think it drops to like $45 around there. Yeah.
Both have a lot of rides. They're really fun. They're really fun themed. I know this summer Blizzard Beach is doing a whole Frozen games.
Yeah.
So
that seems.
If you're really into water parks or if you have an extra day on your trip, absolutely.
Go for it.
And again, I think we'll probably dive into this topic deeper. I think we have a guest that can come on and really talk about these parks. It's been a long time since I've been to one of these water parks. So.
I've personally never been to one of these water parks.
I went to Typhoon Lagoon. Actually, I went to another one that has since been closed that was over by Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah.
So
we'll talk about that one.
We'll dive into the water parks better, but just know that they exist and it's an option if you have a kid that's really into water parks, or if you're really into water parks.
I do want to say one thing, though. Blizzard Beach has the highest water slide in North America.
Oh, okay.
It's the tallest and fastest. Yeah. Summit Plummet,
yeah.
Which is really cool.
Crazy when you see it like from a helicopter or drone. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That looks scary.
And it has a pretty cool effect on it, too.
So one of the other things that Disney, and we've already talked about this in the news, is Disney Springs, which was previously downtown Disney, and this is kind of the shopping, dining, and entertainment district.
I would say after hours entertainment district.
So this is the idea. I think here is that either after the park, after you're done with the park, maybe you go for dinner, or
if you're
an extra day,
kids.
Or if you're traveling with kids, this is the place to go. This is their shopping. There's extra dining options that aren't in the parks.
There's a ton of dining.
I mean, we talked about some last in episode number 1.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving. They're adding so much, and a lot of the dining is entertainment dining. So you have T-Rex, which is from the guys who do Rainforest Cafe, and they also have a Rainforest Cafe, which has a volcano.
Yeah, over there.
You have Fulton's Crab House, which I know just changed name, and I can't remember it. I think it's called Paddle House now or something like that.
Yeah,
Paddle Boat.
They just
renamed it. So there's a ton going in there. Disney just spent a ton of money, just did a huge refurbishment, huge project over there. But basically what you need to know is that it's dining, it's entertainment, because they also have a La Nuba, which is a Cirque du Soleil show.
And it's exclusive to Disney World.
It's an exclusive show that Disney...
You can only see it there. Although I think they They either just closed it or they just announced that they're closing it.
I think they're just about to
close it, to rework it, and do something
which
really
is
cool with it.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
There's also a movie theater, and then there's the Disney Quest, which is kind of an interesting...
Which is closing for sure.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that is going down.
So we won't talk about that too much, but just know that Disney Springs is a good place to get dinner or go out. I know my wife and I look forward to it as a date night opportunity. Go. Don't close a park that night. Take the kids back, put them to bed, have the grandparents watch them, and then we go out to dinner.
Yeah.
And enjoy a night walking around, and there's a lot of fun restaurants down there.
Yeah, and with my family, we kind of like to walk through Disney Springs before we go into any parks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
we've done it a couple times.
We're getting excited to go into the... Well, personally, I get excited to go into the park. My family isn't as into it as I am. But, so Disney Springs is really just kind of the place to go if you want to shop or if you forgot to get a souvenir at one of the parks.
That's true,
they probably have it.
There's the World of Disney, which is which is just massive gift shop, which has just about every item you can find in the parks in Disney Springs. So.
Except for some park exclusive stuff.
Yeah. But a good opportunity if you did forget, you need to get somebody a magnet or whatever. You
need to get your Olaf stuffed Olaf.
That's right. Because everybody needs a stuffed Olaf.
Who doesn't? So Disney Springs is, like we said, it's shopping, it's dining, it's additional family friendly spot to hang out at. They do have, I think they still have some clubs.
I think so. I think they're moving away from that, but it also seems like we talked about in the news, Coca-Cola World is now going to offer alcohol beverages at night. So a lot of them move to kind of a club. There's definitely kind of a shift in the evening after a certain hour that they assume that kids have gone to bed. Now it's the parents out on date night or whatever too.
The adults' time to have some fun. Other than Disney Springs, they have some... Disney World also offers mini golf.
Yeah.
And some water activities. You can go tubing, you can go water skiing, you can go parasailing.
Or you can just rent a pontoon boat and float around the Seven Seas Lagoon.
That'd be magical.
I think it would be. I wonder if you can do it during Wishes.
I think you can, yeah.
Can you?
I'm pretty sure you can. I know I watched a video. I think it was the Tim Tracker again. Big fan of him. Go check him out if you haven't already. But he was there over the 4th of July. No, I think it was Justin Scard. He's a really good one too. He was there over the 4th of July, and he was looking at renting a pontoon boat, and it was like $1,000 for the 4th of July.
Wow.
Well, but I mean, that's the 4th of July.
That's fireworks in the round of Seven Seas Lagoon. So I can imagine that'd be amazing. But
that'd be impressive.
So there are other activities that Disney definitely offers.
Not just theme parks. So that's kind of that's why it's number 5. It's not really that big of a deal, but it's something to be aware of if you're going for a longer trip. If you're going for, I'd say about 10 days or more.
Yeah, or if you have a day in the middle that you're going to try to take it easy, know that you can go rent a boat and just float around, or to go tubing, or play mini golf, or all these other things. So,
and I do want to tack on to this one. Just walk around the resorts too if you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
they have some incredible theming, some of the best theming that I've ever.
Yeah, and we'll
really ever seen.
We're going to talk about the resorts here in a little bit too, and I recommend that as well. I enjoy just walking around, or making a reservation or a dinner at a resort.
Yeah, I would tack that onto here because it is an activity in and of itself.
Yeah, and same with gift shops and stuff too as well at the resorts.
Oh yeah.
Well, and speaking of resorts, going down to dining next is number 4. And the big one here is quick service versus table, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions about these.
Yeah.
The easiest way to describe quick service is probably it can range between something like a McDonald's, so a hamburger type stand, or a hot dog kind of situation,
or corn
dog, and all the way up to something maybe more like what you kind of consider like a Chipotle or Qdoba, if you guys have those in your area, where it's
or like a smash burger,
where it's freshly made, but no one's going to deliver it to your table.
Yeah.
You're more than likely going to walk up, or you might get a number placard, but there's no waiter.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably the easiest way to kind of describe that.
Official waiter.
Yeah, somebody might help you, but it's not going to be
a full service kind of experience.
Which is then the table service is what Disney calls it. And that's the sit down restaurants. And then again, there's kind of a range in there too of from the kind of like Chili's, Applebee's kind of feel, all the way up to fine dining, steakhouse type situations.
Yeah, steakhouse, or like, I don't know, some of them I would compare to like a McCormick's or something.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking fine dining.
It can get
pretty expensive, but it's really good. And having done some of those, I recommend them. And if you can afford it, or you're on the dining plan, which kind of is our sub point under dining here, is if you're staying on property, you're allowed to purchase a dining plan. And there's a couple different types. There's the deluxe dining plan, which provides you 3 table service meals per day. And at each table service meal, it's an appetizer, an entree, a non-alcoholic beverage, and a dessert, as well as 2 snack credits per day. And snack credits are kind of your ice creams, your pretzels, your churros,
your Dole
Whip, those kind of things that you see. And we could do a whole show on that too, because there's a ton of baked goods and all kinds of things.
You can get all sorts of things. You can get your packaged candies with this.
Yeah.
You can even use it on some drinks, can't you? I think with the new Freestyle.
Yeah, a lot of times you can use it on bottled beverages and stuff too. So
yeah.
So then the next step down from the deluxe is what they call the Disney dining plan. And this one is 1 quick service and 1 table service. Now the table service as well is down to just an entree, a non-alcoholic beverage, and a dessert. So no appetizer.
Well, it's still a lot of food.
It's still a lot of food. So you also have a quick service per day. Biggest thing with these is do your research. And there's a great blog out there, the Disney Food Blog. They do a podcast monthly.
Yeah.
They have a great list of all the restaurants. They have a great way to utilize your credits to the max, depending on the dining plan that you're on. You kind of have to make the choice for yourself as to what you think, because it is a lot to sit down for 3 full meals a day
every day.
Some of the restaurants are considered what they call a 2 credit, which is where you're going to give up 2 of your table service credits to dine at that restaurant. Some of the signature restaurants that are.
And I think you can substitute 1 table service for 2 quick service. Is that right?
Something like that.
And you can do.
And then same with if you end up with a quick service or a table service, you can break it down into snacks as well. We ended up doing that kind of foolishly. We should have just eaten more good meals, but we brought home a bunch of candy one time because we didn't use one of our credits. And then the last one is just the basic dining plan. I can't remember. There's a name for it, but essentially it's 2 quick service per day and then 1 snack.
Yeah.
Where the Disney dining and the deluxe dining have 2 snacks per day.
Which, I mean, this is still enough to feed
absolutely
yourself throughout the day.
And the quick service, you're going to find there are so many restaurants
that serve so much food.
And we're gonna talk about those in depth more as we keep going here. But there's so much food and so many options. You're not. I think people hear quick service and they think they're relegated to hamburgers and hot dogs or corn dogs or pizza, and you're like, no, there's Moroccan food that's considered quick service. And at Epcot, there's all these other options. So you can't feel like you're limited in that either.
If you know where to look and know where to use your credit, then you're gonna get a good dining experience no matter what dining plan you choose.
Yeah, and Disney has a master list when you book it that comes. It's a PDF file and it tells you what restaurant and it tells you exactly what kind of credit it is. So
okay, yeah,
know that. And then the last one is those table service ones. You need to make reservations.
Well, with a lot of them, you do.
Yeah,
there are some that you can kind of get away with where you're like, we'll walk up
maybe and see if they can take us,
maybe wait 10 minutes.
But there are a lot, and this is something we encounter a lot with people who have maybe visited Disneyland more often than Disney World. They're used to Disneyland. Typically, I mean, there's a few restaurants in Disneyland.
Yeah,
but typically in Disneyland, you can walk up and get a table at most any restaurant
with like a 10-minute wait.
Yeah, with a normal restaurant kind of wait.
Well, with a normal sized group too, because I've gone to a few restaurants where we've had like 12 people and we've had to wait like 30 to 40 minutes, which still isn't that bad.
So if you're off property, which again we kind of from the beginning assumed you're on property, but just so you know, 180 days before your trip, you're allowed to make reservations if you're off property. It's 190 days if you're staying on property.
Yep. And this is from the beginning of your trip, right?
So this is so if you're going for 2 weeks, that's at the beginning of your 2 weeks. So you're actually able to book out beyond 190 days.
Yeah. So if you have...
But it's from the first day of your arrival.
Yeah, yeah. So when you arrive, you can, like, it's 190 or 180 days out from that date. So you can make reservations for the day that you leave
on that
beyond 190 days from the day that you leave.
And again, if you want to do any of the signature restaurants, there's definitely a lot of restaurants you have to do this. And I know that I encountered a friend, and he grew up around Disneyland, and he was flabbergasted to find out that he needed to make reservations, and they were a little disappointed to not get
the restaurant they wanted because they didn't make reservations in time. They had kind of pushed it to the limit. So, but another tip with that is even if you don't get the restaurant that you want, you can just avoid making the reservation for that day, or you can make another make a reservation at a different restaurant and then cancel within 24 hours so you don't get charged.
Yeah.
And then, or 24 hours before your
reservation is up. Yeah.
And just go to the restaurant, because a lot of times people don't show up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They don't plan their fast passes out well.
Or they get stuck on a ride, or the rain,
or if it rains, especially if it rains.
Oh, absolutely.
Stay in the park, because people just leave in masses.
It is kind of funny.
It's hysterical.
And in Florida, you'll find that rain
lasts 20 minutes.
20 minutes, and then it's over, and then the sun comes back out, and it's all good. So
yeah, and it's back to your 100%
So don't
humidity.
feel like you're limited if you didn't get a reservation, but definitely make reservations if you're able. As soon as possible.
For sure.
And that's hard, and it does feel restricting in some ways, because you have to think about, okay, what day do I want to be in what park? Yeah. Or have to have a park hopper option.
That's true.
So, well, anyway, speaking of number of parks is number 3. So
the parks
themselves. This is kind of the big deal. This could have been number 2 or number 3. Actually, looking back now,
they're pretty interchangeable.
So there are 4 main theme parks. As we kind of talked about the water parks, is they could be considered parks, but they're
kind of a separate.
They're kind of a separate entity. So you have 4 main parks. So the main one is Magic Kingdom.
The big one is Magic Kingdom.
The big one is Magic Kingdom. Well, it's kind of it's what you think of when you think of Disney World. You think of the castle. You think of Main Street USA. If you've ever been to Disneyland, but you've never been to Disney World, this is essentially a Disneyland-esque park.
Well, they are vastly different parks, but they're
similar ideas, some of the similar attractions,
similar layout.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of repeated attractions, I would say.
Yeah, because you're going to have Big Thunder Mountain, you're going to have Splash Mountain,
you have
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Some versions are better than others, which we'll talk about in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll break that down at some point when we do maybe a Disney World versus Disneyland. But the big one to know here is Magic Kingdom is probably your family-friendly or family-centric park. This is the one where a lot of the kids' rides are.
Yeah.
Not to say there's not kids' rides in other parks. There's your kids are going to have fun at all 4 parks, but
regardless.
But to say that this is kind of the original, this is where your kids are really going to enjoy it.
This is the one aimed more towards family.
Absolutely. This is what you see, like you brought up earlier. This is what you see in the commercials. Like this is where they show the little girl running in slow motion to the arms of Cinderella, and there's a castle in the background. This is kind of the iconic park for Disney.
This is the park where you're going to hug your characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can hug your characters in other parks, but this is your main park.
This is the iconic one for it.
So the second park is Epcot.
Yeah, and we're going in order of opening. So Magic Kingdom actually opened in 1971.
Epcot opened in 1982. So
the 21st century began in 1982.
So Epcot is an interesting one because it in a lot of ways it feels like 2 parks.
Oh, it really is. It doesn't even, which one part of the park doesn't really feel like a theme park at all.
No, not at all.
It's incredible.
So essentially you have the 2 parts, and the first part is kind of the entrance to the park, and it's called Future World.
Yeah, and that's open before the second part of the park.
Yeah, so that's the other thing to know about Epcot is that the second part of the park opens later, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the big thing with Future World is this is where a lot of your rides are, your attractions.
Yeah, most of your attractions
are in Future World. This is kind of the technology,
kind of the future, the future way of thinking and kind of where man is headed.
Yeah.
Epcot is a very educational park, though.
Absolutely. No, it was designed that way. Walt, I think, really envisioned that, and
yeah, he wanted wanted to learn from Epcot, which, if you don't know, Epcot is spelled EPCOT, and it stands for the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it originally, well, I mean, we'll dive deeper into Epcot, but just a quick overview is it originally started out as a true
city
plan, a true plan for a city that Walt had, and he dreamed up in the 70s or the 60s even, before he passed away.
Yeah. And it kind of molded into the park that is there now. So it's a lot of it's a technology, it's future, it's mankind. There's the Seas, pavilion, which has a ride within it and has kind of an aquarium.
And then there's the land next to it, which has the big one, Soarin'.
Yeah, and then there's the Imagination Pavilion,
which that one's kind of lacking right now.
Yeah, they're working on that. I think Pixar is supposed to be coming in and taking over the theater there.
I think it already has.
No.
But that just houses a dark ride in it, which has seen better days.
Yeah.
And then so that's, what is that, Future World East or West? West. Future World West houses all of that. And then you have Future World East, which has Test Track.
Which is awesome. Which thrill ride.
As close to Tron Light Cycles as we currently have.
It's very, they remodeled it a few years ago, and they made it very Tron-esque. And it's really supposed to be like you're inside. It's kind of like you're supposed to be inside of a computer simulation of test vehicles.
Yeah. So you design your car beforehand, and then you go out and test it on a track, a virtual track that you actually ride. And then they have Mission Space.
Yep.
Right there, which is pretty cool. It's a very fun mission or space simulator ride, I would say, rocket simulator ride.
Yeah, It's a simulated mission to Mars.
Yeah,
and then additionally over there's Ellen's Energy Adventure, which is starting to kind of show its age, but it's a good 45-minute cool down period.
Yeah. We can both agree on that.
Yeah, we can both agree that maybe it's a good place to nap. Big, comfortable benches, and if you're there during a kind of slower season,
you're not waiting for that ride.
You're not waiting for that ride. So.
Really, ever, you're not really waiting for that ride.
No.
But I enjoy it a bit more than other people do.
So then the other half of the park is...
we missed the big one.
What?
Spaceship Earth.
Oh, yeah, Spaceship Earth, the big ball in the middle of the park, yeah.
The golf ball, as a lot of people like to call it. But no, Spaceship Earth was actually the biggest geodesic sphere when they constructed it. I think it still might be the largest geodesic sphere.
I think I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah. Really big, really cool, really fantastic engineering.
And very much an educational kind of ride. Talks about the humanity's history of communication.
Yeah. And Spaceship Earth is the first ride that you encounter when you walk in.
Yeah. Yeah. You walk past the fountain and you're right there at the queue to Spaceship Earth. So
yeah. Which, it's a fun ride.
It is. I really enjoy it.
It's an Omnimover dark ride.
It's a great ride, yeah.
Pretty fantastic. And then in between Future World East and West is Inventions,
which is kind of the world. It's supposed to kind of be a world showcase for technology and companies, and it's a lot of sponsored
exhibits.
Exhibits, I guess is what. Yeah, I was trying to think of a word there.
There are a few attractions in there. There's some of All Thrills in there, which is you design your own roller coaster and then you ride it.
Oh, that's right.
On a motion simulator, which is a pretty high tech motion simulator.
I know.
To say the least.
And there's like an underwriter's lab, like where you can play around with how they test products and things like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's an educational area. There's I think Bank of America or one of those has an exhibit in there where you learn about saving money.
Yeah, and then there's the House of the Future. Is that still in there?
I think so, or some. I feel like the waxes and wanes with who's in there or not.
They update that quite frequently.
Yeah, because it's a lot of corporate sponsorship. So a good one to check out, though, for sure. Especially if kids.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of good stuff for kids in there.
Yeah, a lot of hands-on kind of hands-on museum-esque things.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
But
it feels very much like a children's museum, kind of the educational.
Yeah, but done in a Disney fashion, so it's better than your average children's museum.
Yeah,
I would say.
No, most definitely. So then the other half of the park, can we get there now?
Yeah, I think so.
Now?
We're good.
Is World Showcase, which is basically
a nonstop World's Fair.
It's a nonstop World's Fair. It's a representation of how many countries?
I think it's 11.
11 countries around the lagoon that's in the middle. And basically you have miniature versions of those countries.
Well, I wouldn't... Well, I mean, they are...
I mean, you have I guess landmarks, miniature versions of landmarks and things. Not miniature, but...
They're still a great scale.
Yeah, they're still a great scale. Miniature seems diminishing, but it's more like...
It's not like Storybook Land Canal boat
miniature. No, we're not talking miniatures like that. More representation of their countries.
Yeah.
So 11 countries.
So you have 11 countries. You have Mexico, Norway, China, Germany, Italy, the U.S., Japan, Morocco, France, the United Kingdom, and Canada.
Okay, yeah. So in the circle, you know, depending on how you go, you'll either encounter Canada on the right as you walk in, or Mexico on the left.
Yep. So, which there is an attraction within World Showcase itself. I think it's still Agent P's World Showcase Adventure. Which I think you can use on either a smartphone. I don't know if you have to download an
borrow
app,
their phone,
or they'll give you a phone, and it's basically it encourages kids to explore the countries a bit more.
Yeah, and learn about the countries. It kind of has. So that's throughout the entire World Showcase.
The entirety of World Showcase, and
it actually includes some animatronic.
Yeah, some really cool special effects throughout. Yeah. You can, I know,
or you're interacting with some of the buildings and things like that.
Yeah, so. I know. In Germany, when you activate something, I know Doofenshmirtz comes running out with
from a giant cuckoo clock.
Yeah, from a giant cuckoo clock, kind of running around like he's a part of the cuckoo clock. And it's little things that don't deter from going to each country. They don't distract from the country at all. But they more of enhance it. In my opinion.
And then within World Showcase, you have 2 boat rides.
Yeah.
2 boat rides, and then 3 movies. 2 of which are Circle Vision.
2 Circle Vision, 1 180-degree movie.
So France has a movie, China has a Circle Vision movie, and Canada has a Circle Vision. And then the boat rides are Mexico has the 3 Caballeros, which is
the Fiesta.
The Fiesta, which is Donald Duck and his 2 buddies. And
yeah, it's very Pirates of the Caribbean-esque.
Slow boat ride.
There's no drops in this one.
Yeah, more like I would say Small World.
Yeah,
very similar.
That's probably a better comparison.
Little figurines kind of dancing around. So, and then the new one that just opened up, which previously had been a ride,
used to be called Maelstrom,
which is in Norway, and now it's Frozen, and it's a
Frozen Never After.
It's a whole audio animatronic ride, dark ride with I guess a drop,
yeah, there is a drop in there. Yeah. Well, there's a backwards drop and a forwards drop.
So
it does go backwards. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah, spoiler alert.
I mean, the ride's been around since 1988, so
they used the same boat system.
It's the same track.
It's the same track. They just made it frozen. We haven't had the opportunity to ride that yet. I know I really enjoyed Maelstrom, I'm sure, and from what I've seen, Disney did a really good job with the Frozen ride. So
yeah. From what I've seen and read, it's different, but it is widely accepted and widely appreciated by the Disney community. There are that group that thinks it should be in Fantasyland over at Magic Kingdom. Which I think I might fall into that group until I ride it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know until I ride it, until I see
to bring more people into Epcot and into World Showcase. So I can't complain. So
no, not at all. And then China has a Circle Vision 360 movie.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you who don't know, this is a video that plays on 8 screens. It has 8 projectors within the dome.
And so you're standing
in the middle, and you look up, and you can see 360 degrees of a single shot.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is.
And then, what's the other one that has the...
Canada.
Canada has another 360 video, which one has Martin Short in it. Yeah. It's pretty funny. It's worth it.
But same thing, very very beautiful shots. I mean, it's all very well shot, and so
and we should probably say right now that these countries are they're sponsored by the countries themselves,
by the countries' and tourism bureaus or whatever.
Yeah, the tourism stuff, and so they showcase some really cool things from these countries. Like I know in France you can see the Eiffel Tower off in the distance.
Yeah.
And in Italy you have pretty much all of the major landmarks right
and
there.
You have street performers and others. Yeah. So it's very much, I mean, like you said, it's very much a World's Fair. It's very much supposed to be kind of like traveling to these countries.
Yeah, it's something really cool. And they hire people from those countries to work in those countries.
Yeah, they're college-age kids that are...
College or young adult.
Or young adult that are interning, essentially, there and representing their country. So
yeah, and it's really cool. It feels very authentic, very, very true to what the countries would be, at least the ones I've been to, than the ones that I've been outside of the U.S. with.
Well, and then going back to our number 2 on this big 5 here was dining.
Our number 4.
Number 4. Wow, not number 2. You go backwards.
Number
4. Going back to dining, so in World Showcase, most countries have one restaurant, if not, and a lot of them have 2.
I think the majority of them have 2.
Yeah,
I think
we were
there's
thinking
only
about
2
it.
that only have.
I think Canada only has a table service,
a sit down, table service, sit down, and what was the other one?
Well, England,
that doesn't technically have a sit down service.
It has a walk up counter kind of situation where you can get some fish and chips, but
if you're a fan of food, Epcot is the place
as well as adult beverages.
Yes, very much true.
Because
very,
every country also has their adult beverages available too. So
drink around the world.
Yeah. So that's Epcot. I mean, we could go into Epcot a lot more, and I'm sure we probably will. In the future,
definitely will. Yeah,
and then in 1989, they opened Disney's Hollywood Studios. Originally, it was MGM Studios. They had a partnership with MGM.
With MGM Grand right there, and that kind of fell through, or something happened.
Someone they kind of parted ways. So it's now Disney's Hollywood Studios. And this is your movie theme park. So there are parts that feel like a back lot that feel like studios, and there's parts that feel like sets.
I think this park is more aimed towards the teenagers.
Absolutely. I mean, so there's some more thrill rides.
Thrill rides in this park.
Yeah, there's a lot more thrill rides in this park. This is where we're going to see a big expansion over the next couple of years of both Toy Story area, and then as well the huge Star Wars land, which we've done a separate episode on, and will come out at some point,
sometime, hopefully soon.
So you're gonna find a lot more, like I like the way you put it, that it's probably for teenage. It's a little more to the teenager crowd.
Yeah,
because you have the thrill rides, you have
and that's not to say that there aren't rides for kids,
or there's stage shows too that are for kids too.
So I mean, you have Tower of Terror, which is a really killer drop ride.
Yeah.
And then you have Rock and Roller Coaster, which is an indoor high-speed roller coaster with inversions, so it does go upside down.
Yeah.
If you need to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's something you want to be aware of.
It is a launch roller coaster too. It is pretty exhilarating. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of my favorite coasters.
Because it's in the dark too, and
and
you have rock music playing right in your ear.
Aerosmith blasting the whole time. What's not to love about it? It's about going fast on the California freeway, which nobody ever gets the opportunity to do.
And then same for dining here. There's a lot of options, a lot of counter service, and a lot of sit downs, ranging kind of again like we talked about, kind of from the casual up to the, I wouldn't say fancy, but
it's getting up
nicer.
There.
The Brown Derby.
Brown Derby's fairly
you're
nice.
You're gonna get a filet mignon or something like that.
Something a little better than your average theme park burger.
Yeah.
This is really turned into a Star Wars park though.
It really is. Now. So right now they're doing Star Wars show at night. There's
a Star Wars launch bay. They have some Star Wars stage shows. They have Star Tours is over there. I mean, really, since half the park is under construction right now, that's the main way that they can draw people to the park. So currently know that the majority of the park is under construction, so there won't be as many attractions in here as you would get at, say, Magic Kingdom. Actually, I think all 3 other parks have more attractions open right now than Hollywood Studios does.
I think so.
So unless you're a big Star Wars fan, you could probably spend about half a day there right now.
Yeah, because half the park is
torn shut down.
So, So then in 1998, they opened Disney's Animal Kingdom. This is the most recent park, and it's also seen some fairly recent upgrades too, and some changes. So
it's seen some love recently.
This is an interesting part because it's not a zoo.
It's not a zoo,
but it is at sometimes in some ways. And
if you've ever been to like Busch Gardens or, not so much SeaWorld, but kind of that same type of feel of like
a theme park built around a.
Well, it's kind of a theme park built around conservation and the theme of that. And the theme, Animal Kingdom it's a hard park to fall in love with. It's a hard park to like. But
I think they're doing some things now to kind of improve that.
Oh, they're just doing some things to make it easier because you can love this park and you can really.
And if you had a kid that loves dinosaurs, for example, there's a dinosaur area with a dinosaur ride.
Yeah.
Or if you had a kid that really loves animals, or you really love animals, this is the park for you.
You're going to spend quite a bit of time walking around their jungle treks,
and riding and riding
Kilimanjaro
safaris, and
which is actually that single ride is the size of Magic Kingdom.
That's right,
which is
huge,
insane. But this park, it's very different from the other parks right there. It doesn't when you walk in, you don't see the park icon right away.
Yeah, you don't see the tree right away.
You don't see the tree of life. You kind of have to meander around, which is pretty cool.
And you don't see it throughout the whole park either.
No, you don't. You can't really use anything as a major like focal point to meet up at, because it's very easy to get lost in this park. So grab a map right away. Use that map throughout the day.
I've been there multiple times and I still feel a little lost. Like, where does this path go where I want to? I think it will. Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
which that's the point of the park, is to get lost in it and really feel immersed in it, and they do a fantastic job of that.
And so it's kind of broken down basically into Africa,
Asia,
and then
Dinoland USA, and then Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Okay,
and
which Rafiki's is kind of off you go to Africa and you kind of go beyond Africa to Rafiki's,
and then you take a train over there, and then you walk a quarter.
So there's some stage shows. You do have a roller coaster, which is the Expedition Everest, which is a pretty good thrill ride. I know we've talked about it in the past.
Solid roller coaster.
So you're still going to get some thrills. You're still going to get some rides, but some really good stage shows. The Lion King, Finding Nemo, some of those kind of shows. So
yeah, and there was one more land. It's the Oasis.
Right
there.
Yeah,
that's the entrance point where you get to see. There are animals mixed throughout this park as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And you're going to see birds flying. Because one day I was standing there and all of a sudden these like brightly colored birds just land on this thing, and this lady starts talking about these birds, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing now, I guess. So
that's cool.
All right, well, let's talk about birds. So this is a good one. This is a great park, and some of the improvements they're making is they're moving more towards a nighttime park. This park used to literally close at
it was like 6 or 7
in the evening,
unless you went the week between Christmas and New Year's, which is the busiest week to go if you're going to go to Disney World. So I had that opportunity. I had that opportunity and got to ride Expedition Everest at like 9 o'clock at night, which is pretty cool.
So they're moving more and more towards being an all-day park, because it was kind of another park, kind of like you talked about Hollywood Studios being now. It was kind of a half day. You could do almost everything, see everything.
Yeah, people would generally start walking out about 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. So it's growing and it's getting some new things, and
it has a projection show on the Tree of Life right now, a nighttime projection show, so that's pretty cool. And it also has I think they opened up Rivers of Light.
No, not yet. It's not delayed.
It's still delayed. So they have a Jungle Book though, kind of show
water projection
show. It's very very similar to, I would say, World of Color, but with boats, kind of like Fantasmic.
Yeah.
Projection screen boats.
Kind of
water screen boats.
Yeah, kind of a mix between the two.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And the big thing over here is it's getting an expansion of its own.
Oh, yeah.
To include Pandora, the world of Avatar.
That's right. That's its name now. I keep forgetting it got a name.
Avatar Land.
Yeah, it was just Avatar Land forever, and then they finally gave it a real name. And
yeah. I think this, and they've developed some really cool technologies for this.
It sounds like it, yeah.
They've got some really cool, like, they just got a patent for like being able to send electrodes through a plant and then use that to sense where people are touching on that plant. And if you like, say you touched a plant,
an actual plant,
yeah, like a real plant,
wow.
like a living plant. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So like,
okay.
say you touch the plant at like the leaf or like a flower on like a petal.
So they can interact with you.
Yeah, like
a sound or a light or something. Will
a sound or a light or something will go off, or like a puff of air or something. Or if you're standing under a tree, a little mister might start falling, or like some water might start falling from it.
Interesting. So that's supposed to really open. Cool, that's supposed to open 2017.
Yes.
And we're not quite sure what it could mean anytime.
Yeah, it could
They've just said 2017, so it could mean summer of 2017, or it could mean prior to Christmas.
I think most likely it's going to be summer 2017.
Okay, so by June or July, or May even, we might know.
I mean,
by Memorial Day.
We'll know probably around Christmas time this year when it'll.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the park's anniversary is Earth Day, so maybe by April we'll see an opening, or
that would be amazing.
Or some portion of something.
That is unheard of in this industry, but that would be amazing.
Yeah. So those are the parks. I mean, obviously that's kind of why you go.
That's the main draw to Disney World.
So then the other thing is, where do you stay? So number 2 is the resorts.
Yeah.
And so Disney categorizes these 3 ways. There's value, there's moderate, and there's deluxe.
And we'll dive deeper. Well, I want to say this before we dive too deep into the resorts. We'll dive deeper into each park.
Oh, absolutely.
Later on.
We forgot it. We didn't mention a ton. There's so much to know about the parks. But
there are so
just
many
to let you know, there's 4 parks. I think there's a lot of misconception as to what's what on those parks. So that's kind of where we brought those up.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the resorts, too. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about the resorts. And that's why we're bringing it up now is to kind of understand the levels between value, moderate, and deluxe.
Yeah.
So deluxe are going to be like your monorail loop resorts, which are the ones that are on the lagoon that Magic Kingdom is on and share a monorail.
This includes like the Polynesian. You have the Contemporary Resort right there, and the Grand Floridian. I think those are the main 3, and you also have your Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah,
is included in this, which isn't on a
Wilderness
monorail.
Lodge considered
I think their villas are that they just opened up, but not the resort itself. I think it's considered a moderate resort.
So these are going to be a little bit nicer rooms. There's going to be some more amenities to the hotel itself.
These are going to be the nicest rooms that you can get at Disney World.
Yeah, this is going to feel much like a resort in and of itself.
Yeah,
is the best way to.
This is like, I don't know. I heard it described as like 4 seasons.
Absolutely.
Or 5 seasons. I don't know what it is.
4 seasons.
4 seasons resorts.
Which now there's a 4 seasons
at Disney World.
But it's on property, but it's not.
But it's not officially a Disney Resort.
But anyways, getting back to deluxe. So deluxe, this is like literally you walk in the Grand Floridian and there's a guy playing piano in the lobby. Yeah. Kind of a situation. Yeah. So they have multiple dining options a lot of times, where some of the other ones only have a single dining option.
Yeah, you'll have some sit down restaurants. You'll have some tables or some walk up counter service stuff here. But this is where the really nice sit down stuff comes to play.
Yeah, these are where a lot of your nice sit down restaurants that aren't in the park are. They're all in these deluxe resorts.
Yeah,
as well as like the Polynesian Village Resort has the nightly show.
Yeah. These also have some really cool additions to them.
And we could dive into those too. And obviously, if you're staying on property, you either know where you're staying or not. So
yeah.
But these are things to consider if you're staying or looking to stay. You're going to pay a lot more. You're going to pay multiple hundreds of dollars a night. For these.
Yeah, depending on how you go around it, about your booking.
And then moderates are the...
Well, I want to say one more thing on deluxe. Huh. They have the best theming out of all.
They have their own area music. They have...
Yeah.
They have
their own... They have everything.
There's things that interact with you. It's
incredible. Even just walk around one of these resorts.
And that's what we kind of said on number 5, with the extras is like, even consider the other resorts that you're not staying at. Go see them just to see the theming and experience them.
It's truly something incredible. I've actually stayed at one of these deluxe resorts, although it's on the opposite coast, and they're really cool.
Yeah.
Now onto your moderate resorts.
So the moderate resorts are just that. They're kind of the middle ground. They're a little bit nicer room than like a typical hotel room. some theming, some stronger theming.
I'd say some pretty. I mean, all Disney resorts are themed,
and you may have alternate transfer. So the other thing with the deluxe, going back to the deluxe for just a second, is the transportation.
Yeah, so you're not just sitting on a bus everywhere.
You're not just sitting on a bus everywhere. You either have the monorail, or a lot of times there's boats, or there's other options.
Yeah,
to get to the parks,
except for Animal Kingdom Lodge. There, you're stuck to buses.
Because you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So the moderates, you may or may not, depending on which one it is, you may have an alternative transportation mean available to you, possibly a boat.
Yeah, I know on Boardwalk you can get a boat
into Epcot,
and on. Can you get one on Saratoga or Coronado?
One of those you can get a boat.
Coronado or Saratoga.
So some of those you get some of the benefits of the deluxe without the deluxe price. So this is kind of the middle ground as far as pricing goes.
They're nicer, like you said. They're nicer than your average like Motel 6.
Yeah, this is not
It's not a Motel 6, but it's not like a Four Seasons. It's a middle ground between the two. I'd say pretty comparable to like a Marriott, maybe.
Sure, I would go with that.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot to say because there's not a lot to say about these. They'll have some other amenities that similar to the deluxe, but not quite to the deluxe level. Like I remember we stayed at one of them, and we could rent a little motorboat and whip around whatever lake was there. So I mean, there's other amenities where then the last level is the value, and these are truly the value resorts. Your room is going to be very basic. You're going to have 2 beds,
they're about
a TV, and a bathroom.
Yeah, I think this is very Motel 6.
Motel 6 is a little grosser, but
this is a lot gross. I mean, it's Motel 6 done in a Disney way.
So everything's clean, everything's nice, but it's very basic.
Yes, and there is still theming to these.
Oh yeah, and sometimes really good theming. Like if you look at the
Art of Animation,
there's full-size Pixar characters and
fantastic theming over there. And then it can get a little less so if you're going over to like the All-Star resorts down there, where it's just like, oh, we're themed to sports, or
there's a big football in front of your hotel room,
or your.
But you're going to pay a lot less to stay here. But you still have a lot of the benefits. You still have transportation provided with the buses.
All the benefits of staying on property. You get extra magic hours still. You get buses. You get transportation to and from MCO, and I mean, you still get everything that you could really ever want on a Disney property.
But you're paying $100 and something a night instead of multiple hundreds.
I think it ranges from like $120 down to like $85 a night, depending on which one you're staying
and
at.
What season it is and everything else too. Yeah. So those are the resorts. Again, we're assuming that you're already staying or that you're already going, and hopefully you kind of maybe did your research on what your resort provides, and we could definitely dive into those more as well as kind of the benefits and.
We definitely will. Benefits and drawbacks of each one.
Yeah. So the number one, and I think this is probably the biggest one that we see with misconceptions and misunderstandings, is My Magic Plus.
Yeah. We see a lot of misconceptions, especially from my California friends.
They have no idea
what this is. They think it's an added-on thing that you got to pay extra for, which you don't. It's free. Big thing right here. It's free. It's nothing really special. I mean, it is really special. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. But you don't need to pay anything extra for it. So that's the big thing.
So the big thing here with My Magic Plus is that it basically encompasses all of your trip.
Yeah,
this is your room key. This is your dining reservations. This is
your fast passes. You can set it up so you can pay for your food on this thing too.
Yeah, anytime you're paying cash for anything, it's on this. Typically what you're going to see if you're staying on property, because we're assuming that, is you're going to have a magic band, which is a bracelet which has an RFID chip in it.
Yep.
And again, this is your park passes. This is your hotel key. This is your dining plan if you have that. This is your, can be if you choose to, your credit card.
Yeah. This is basically your key to the kingdom, which is what they called it before they brought out magic bands. It's really something really cool. But if you're not staying on property, which probably a few of you guys listening to us aren't, you don't need a magic band to enjoy My Magic Plus. It's included in your park ticket. They just give you an RFID-enabled park ticket.
Yeah.
You get a plastic ticket instead of a paper one.
Yeah.
Which this really the reason why it's number one is because, one, it's unique to Disney World.
Yeah.
No other Disney resort has this. I don't even think any. Well, there's a few over in Europe that are kind of starting to move.
We
this
keep
way.
hearing rumors of tests or other things at some of the other parks, but this is the only one that has it as of yet.
Yeah, as of right now. And you can. So what you can do with My Magic Plus is you can reserve ride times on here, which this is the big thing that a lot of people bring up for debate right here.
Yeah, and
we can get into a little later.
Around it, yeah.
We'll get into a little later the benefits and drawbacks of it. But do you want to explain the ride reservation system, since you use it a bit more than I do?
I mean, essentially, this is the replacement for the paper fast passes. So if you've ever been to Disneyland, what you do is you walk up to a kiosk and you put in your park ticket or your annual pass, and you get a fast pass,
a paper ticket for it,
which allows you to come back during a certain window and essentially skip the line for that ride.
Yeah, ride with little or no wait is what Disney advertises.
This is essentially that, but done in advance before you arrive, or you can do it on site. But we can get there. But you do it in advance, and it's done through the internet, and you just plan ahead.
And it's not limited to certain attractions.
Yeah.
You can do this on every single attraction.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Which is huge.
Because I hate waiting in line 45 minutes for Dumbo.
Yeah. No, it's everything, and then it basically is on your Magic Band, and you just walk up, and there's a little post, and you just put your Magic Band next to it, and that creates, you are then on the ride.
Yeah.
So the biggest misconception I think we hear a lot of is that people think like, oh, I have to be nailed down in my plans or other things like that.
It's still flexible.
And it is still flexible. And once you've used your 3, so you're allowed to make 3 per day.
And there's different tiers that you can pick.
Yeah. So essentially, it's kind of the old, go back to the e-ticket system. You're allowed to only have a certain, you can't have, say, Epcot, for example. You can't have Frozen, Soarin', and Test Track, because those are the 3 big attractions.
The 3 big tier 1 attractions.
Because they're trying to kind of spread the load out across all the rides.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to make 3. Once your 3 are up, then there are kiosks in the park, and in fact now they've actually announced that you're going to be allowed to make new fast passes or extra fast passes on your phone.
Yeah, on your mobile device, which there is an app for this.
And the parks do have free Wi-Fi. That's another thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So that if you're from out of country or don't have a smartphone, you could potentially have like an iPod Touch or some other iOS or Android type device to use this app.
It works on any mobile device, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think Windows and
I think I don't know if they have a Windows
maybe
one.
It's just Android and iOS. But so again, a lot of misconceptions. One of the biggest ones is that a lot of people think this is an additional cost of the trip. This is included with
your ticket price.
With your ticket price, whether you're on property or off property. The only thing that changes if you're off property or on property is how advanced you can make your reservations,
and the inclusion of a Magic Band, because you can buy a Magic Band for it's like $13 off if you really want one. And
if you're off property, you can go buy them, and in fact, you can get personalized ones if you're on property, because you get a colored one, but you can get ones that have patterns on them.
Yeah, which I think you pay extra for those patterns or the designs on them.
But with the normal ones, you can pick from like a small, I think about 6 colors.
Yeah,
if I remember right. And I picked gray, and then I realized that gray was like the standard.
Yep.
So people who didn't know to pick their colors ended up with gray, and I looked like I hadn't planned ahead. And I was like, no, I planned ahead. Like, I got gray because I wanted gray.
I got this. No worries. I got it because it's mine.
I got it because I wanted gray, not because I didn't plan ahead and didn't pick my color. So, I mean, those are the biggest things. I mean, if you guys have questions out there, don't hesitate to email us, unmistakablymagic@gmail.com.
We did miss one thing.
What?
We didn't say how many days in advance you can book your fast passes.
So if you're on property, it's 60 days in advance, and if you're off property,
it's only 30.
It's only 30. So
which is a giant. It's a massive difference.
Because again, if you're trying to get some of those new popular rides, that's
good luck getting Frozen if you're staying off property.
Yeah, because that's hard, because you're going to have all the Disney people who booked 30 days prior to you. So
yeah.
Well,
but I think that's just about it.
That's just about it. So, I mean, like I said, if you guys have questions, we're always happy to answer questions. We have been to the parks a ton. We know a lot.
We know them basically,
and we have a lot of resources that we can always go to too if we need to. So don't hesitate to email us. Our email, of course, is unmistakablymagic@gmail.com. I think that about wraps up the main topic.
Yeah, that I don't have anything else to say other than.
And we're definitely going to dive into all of those things we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
In way more depth. I think this is kind of a primer for an intro to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, which I think this will be a good kickoff for a little mini-series that we can start here.
Yeah, I think most definitely. I mean, we'll probably dive into all of those topics into way more detail. But it's just an initial resource to kind of understand Disney World.
Yeah, which I do want to say one more thing is... have fun at Disney World, because if you're listening to this, you're probably going to Disney World.
That's true, too. Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're planning ahead or getting excited.
Yeah, have fun.
Dude, we're pumped for you. So, all right. Well, that wraps up episode number 2.
Yeah, I mean, that does our main topic right there.
Yeah, so we'll dive into all that and more as we keep going with our episodes here. So,
yeah, stay tuned for some more magic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to the Unmistakably Magic Podcast. Again, this was episode number 2.
Everything you need to know, or 5 things
you need to know before you go. Yeah, everything. That'd be like an 8-hour episode.
Oh, man. At a minimum.
Don't forget to check out our social media. We're Unmistakably Mag on Twitter, Unmistakably Magic on Instagram, Facebook.com/Unmistakably Magic. Again, don't hesitate to email us if you have questions. We're more than happy to answer questions.
Any questions, comments, concerns,
show ideas. If you got an idea of something you think we could dive into, unmistakablymagic@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Big, huge thank you, shout out to our friend Dylan over at Blast Off Branding for making our awesome logo. We're about to debut that here
on iTunes. Get that all set up.
That's right. Don't forget to check out our friends over at the Unmistakably Star Wars podcast. Well, Court,
have a magical week.
That's right. See you real soon.